The purpose of these lessons is to show you the logic behind the most basic Chinese characters, beginning with the simplest pictograms, and later combining these elements to create more complex characters. There are 4 characters in today's lesson, the second of 2 installments based on jian, an enormous eye on the body of a kneeling man, meaning to see, as opposed to just looking. In the previous installment, I did not mention that jian, meaning to see something, was originally a split sound character, 破音字, with a second pronunciation of xian, meaning to appear, within the line of sight of that enormous eyeball. That second pronunciation, xian, and its meaning were then taken over by today's new character with the jade radical, to distinguish the action of seeing from the object of one's gaze. Why the jade radical? Well, the original meaning of xian was the luminescence of jade, that natural glow emanating from the stone which has attracted so many admirers over the centuries. This luminescent quality was a good choice to represent the meaning of emerging or appearing in front of our eyes, expressed more fully by the phrase 出现. 月亮从云层中出现了. The moon emerged from the clouds. 他们半个小时后才出现了. They didn't show up until half an hour later. 当时意想不到的问题出现了. At that time, an unexpected problem arose. 他心里立刻出现了2个念头. 2 thoughts immediately occurred to her. 那么冰冷的行星上能出现生命吗? Can life appear on such ice-cold planets? 你讲那句话的时候就会出现不好的苗头. Something bad will happen if you say that. 一个令人吃惊的想法出现在他的脑子里. A startling idea popped into his head. 显出 and 显现 both mean to show or reveal. 他眼中显出不以为然的目光. Her eyes displayed a look of disapproval. 流行小说和电影能显现来日的世界. Popular novels and movies can reveal the world of the future. Phenomenon is a Greek word related to phantom and fantasy, 2 words describing what appears to our eyes or to our imagination. 现象 is how Mandarin expresses a phenomenon. 日食是一个有趣的现象. A solar eclipse is an interesting phenomenon. Notice that there is another character, also pronounced second tone 时, which is often paired with 日 and 月 for the meanings of solar and lunar eclipse. If you look closely, you'll see that it literally depicts worms or insects eating, which pretty much describes its dictionary definition of to erode or eat away slowly at something. Anyway, either character pronounced 时 is correct for the meaning for an eclipse. 这几年来，失业的现象越来越多. The unemployment situation has worsened in recent years. 你们今天看到的是个不正常的现象. what you observed today was an abnormal phenomenon. In Lesson 10, we combined 才 with 土 to create 在, an ideogram meaning a plant sprouting at this very spot, existing right here and now. If we pair 在 with 现, we get 现在, the most useful expression for now or at present. 他现在有什么高招? What tricks does he have up his sleeve now? 你现在知道怎么回事了吗? Do you know what's going on now? 你使我成为现在这个样子. You made me what I am now. 我现在不能回答你. 给我一天想一想. I can't answer you now. Give me a day to think about it. 你要是想明年出书，最好现在就动手工作. If you want to publish your book next year, you'd better get started on it now. We learned that 如今 is one way to say nowadays or these days. We now can express this with 现今. 现今的青少年好像不肯被约束. Today's teenagers seem unwilling to be restricted. 他是现今世界上最顶尖的国术高手. He's the top martial arts master in the world today. If 成 means finished or complete, 现成 would be something ready-made, or an article of clothing purchased off the rack, rather than custom-made or special-ordered. 这些零件都有现成货可以买. These parts are readily available for purchase. 不用特别煮什么，吃现成的就好了. No need to cook, just open something ready to eat. 若问青少年这个问题，他们有现成的回答. If you ask teenagers this question, they have a ready answer. Similar to 现成 is the phrase 现有, referring to something currently available or existing. 你的问题超越了现有理论的题目. Your question goes beyond the topic of current theory. 现有无人驾驶的电动汽车问题很多. There are many problems with existing driverless electric cars, or driverless electric cars as they are now. Merchandise that is readily available for purchase is 现货. 这种背心你拿不到现货. You can't get this kind of vest off the rack. 对不起，眼下一点现货都没有. Sorry, we have no more of this item in stock at the moment. Notice the phrase 眼下 meaning at present or at the moment, literally in front of one's eyes. 你要买的那种圆领毛衣没有现货. The crew neck sweater you want to buy is not in stock. 现金 is money that's readily available for use as cash. 对不起，我手上的现金不够. I'm sorry, I don't have enough cash on hand. In Lesson 39, we saw the fourth tone character 对 that looks like a huge mouth on legs, with the separation radical above, reviewed here. That huge mouth on legs is actually the pictograph of the eldest male in the family, and specifically the eldest son, who was charged with chanting and singing ecstatically to the gods and ancestors, hoping that his fervent devotion would be reciprocated with good fortune and protection. This depiction of ecstatic singing gave rise to the interpretation of a mouth breaking into a big smile, the two outer strokes representing the wrinkles on either side. Others contend that those two outer strokes are simply the separation reticle depicting the expansion of the chanting and singing toward the spirit world above. Notice that whether those two strokes point inward or outward, the character is the same. We already know two characters that derive from 对, 说 and 悦, both originally meaning joy or delight, that ecstatic singing again, with 说 later narrowed down to mean speak, say, or talk, not chant or sing. We need to remember that the chanting and ecstatic singing was for the purpose of gaining favor with the gods, hoping that in exchange the spirits would grant protection and good fortune. That's where our next phrase comes in. 兑现, meaning to exchange. Originally, to cash a check, 兑现金, but even more importantly today, to make good on a promise or honor a commitment. 你何时兑现往年的诺言? When will you fulfill your promises from previous years? 你的诺言从来没有兑现过. Your promises were never kept. 不要理他，他说的话不可能兑现. Ignore him. There's no way he can follow through on what he says. 请你相信，我过去说的一切会兑现的. Please believe me that I will make good on everything I've ever said. 他明明知道这全都是无法兑现的诺言. He clearly knows that these are all commitments that he cannot honor. Way back in Lesson 2, I introduced the character 夫, the pictogram of a person with a hairpin and a cap, indicating a boy who has reached the age of 20, and who may now bind his hair and wear a cap to show that he has reached adulthood. Being an adult, he was now of marriageable age, so an extended sense is a husband. Our second character today is composed of this 夫 plus 见. Pronounced first tone 归. Although there seem to be several explanations relating to the true origin of this character, it has traditionally been explained literally, as an adult's or a husband's view on all matters. A person who apparently was expected to know and uphold the laws, regulations, and customs of the society. Or it could mean that a husband always had the final say, and was therefore the law of the household. Either way, 归 now means laws, regulations, and customs. Another very specific meaning is an instrument used to draw arcs and circles. In other words, a compass or a pair of compasses. That instrument in Chinese is called 圆规. Here's one easy example. 我用圆规画了一个圆. I used a compass to draw a circle. As I just mentioned, the most useful meaning of 规 is laws and regulations, especially in the combination 法规. 那家餐厅违背食品卫生法规而被责令停业. That restaurant violated food safety regulations and was ordered to close. A more direct way to say violate a rule or regulation is 违规。违规者最高可罚7000元。Violators may be fined up to 7,000 yuan. 超速行驶是违规行为，会被重罚。Speeding is a violation and will result in a heavy fine. 我违规停车，警员把车子拖了。I was parked illegally, and a police officer towed my car. 人违规时，必须纠正他的行为才对。When someone breaks a rule, it's only right to correct the behavior. 违规倒垃圾事件在去年增加了40%。Trash disposal violations increased by 40% last year. Laws and regulations can naturally be extended to include 常规 ordinary rules, common practices, or routines. 常规工作 routine work. 你不能这样违反一切常规 You can't go against all the rules like this. 别想来这里工作而打破常规 Don't even think about breaking the rules while working here. 因为他打破常规才有现在的成就 She has achieved what she has now by not sticking to the rules. Very similar, but less common than 常规 is the expression 成规, meaning conventions, established practices, or fixed rules. 你想出人头地的话，不要怕打破常规 If you want to stand out among others, don't be afraid to break with convention. 他想在大机构里找个固守常规的工作 He's looking for a job in a large organization where he just follows the rules. When paired with 定 as in 规定 it means to rule, specify, prescribe, or stipulate, either as a verb or as a noun. 规定的最高时速为40英里 The stated maximum speed is 40 miles per hour. 你们反对这些规定是徒然的 Your opposition to these rules is to no avail. 使这些规定合理化是必要的 It's necessary to make these provisions reasonable. 开会的时间规定在9点30分 The time of the meeting is set for 9:30. 你的解说请不要超过规定的时间 Please do not exceed the time allotted for your explanation. 我们到了规定的时间就停下来收工 We stopped and called it a day at the agreed upon time. 规 often combines with either 画 or 画 and translates as to map out or draw up a plan, or the plan itself. 我需要做出餐厅的全面规划 I need to make out a comprehensive plan for the restaurant. 他有生意上的永久性规划在脑子里 He has far-reaching business plans in his head. 领导者必须把今后5年的工作规划一下 Leaders must map out their work for the next 5 years. 令堂过世之后，您要如何规划您的生活 After your mother's passing, how will you plan your life? The character 规 is very often paired with another character that does not contain the jian element. But before introducing it, we need to understand its phonetic and semantic components. So, today's third character shows a man with outstretched arms, 大, holding a tool, 弓, in his right hand, 手. Or, that right hand could simply be a handle attached to this tool. The man was eventually dropped, leaving the tool with what now appears to be its handle. This character is pronounced fourth tone, 锯, 锯. What kind of tool was this? There are two interpretations. One, that it's an ancient carpenter's T-square for tracing right angles and squares. And two, that it's a similarly shaped but much larger and heavier tool for tamping down the earth to create a solid foundation under a wall or other structure. In other words, 锯 was a T-square and an earth tamping tool shaped like a T-square. I would tend to favor interpretation number 2 in these next examples because 锯 today means huge, tremendous, or gigantic, possibly referring to the strength needed to maneuver it. 他显出巨大的努力. He displayed tremendous effort. 百姓反对起着巨大的作用. The people's opposition played a huge role in this. A giant or colossus is 巨人. 他的手像巨人一样大. His hands were as big as a giant's. 他看起来就像一个巨人骑着黑马. He looked like a giant riding a black horse. A giant in the business world is a magnate or tycoon. In the political world, a national leader. In the music world, a maestro. All of these can be expressed by 巨头 or sometimes by 巨子, 子, third tone. 我们把计划拿给银行界巨头们看了. We showed the plan to the banking tycoons. 他的私人朋友是一位食品界的巨头. Her personal friend is a mogul in the food industry. 他在行动电话巨头 Nokia 的工厂里工作. He works in a factory for the mobile phone giant Nokia. 他是食品业主导地位 Nestle 的巨子. She is the business mogul behind Nestle, which dominates the food industry. A giant or a superstar in the movie or music industry is 巨星. 刘德华是天王巨星. Andy Lau is a superstar. Of course, other descriptors may be added for emphasis, such as 天王, literally the supreme king. Liu Dehua is the real name of a very well-known actor and singer from Hong Kong, and we have learned all the characters to write his name. His English name is Andy Lau, Lao being the Cantonese pronunciation of Liu. 他从小就想成为一名世界电影巨星. She's wanted to be a world-famous movie star ever since she was a child. 他现在要成为世界巨星，已是指日可待了. He is now on the verge of becoming a global superstar. The four-character idiom 指日可待, translated literally, is a definite date to wait for, meaning something is just around the corner, or the day is not far off, or it's in the foreseeable future. Here's another example of this expression. 你成为 鼎鼎大名的小说家，是指日可待的。It won't be long before you become a famous novelist. A monumental work, or in Latin, magnum opus, is rendered as 巨著。他用毕生的精力创作这本巨著。He spent his entire life creating this monumental work. 这是现今最伟大思想家的巨著。This is the magnum opus of the greatest thinker of our time. 当时已成名的他，因为这本巨著而名垂青史。Already well known at the time, his place in history was fixed with this masterpiece. Note the idiom from Lesson 52, 名垂青史, literally to go down in the history books, referring to the bamboo strips used for recording Chinese history, 史, before the invention of paper. Those bamboo strips were green, 青, before being dried out for writing on. And as Chinese characters were written from top to bottom, they appeared to hang down on the strips, 垂下来, producing the idiom 名垂青史, to have one's name inscribed in the annals of history. In the development of 巨, we saw the man with outstretched arms, 大 element, drop out, leaving only the tool and its handle. Well, now we return to that original form in our fourth character, 巨, where 大 is replaced with the adult male, 夫, which in turn was miscopied by ancient scribes as the arrow radical, 使. This original character is pronounced third tone, 举, and also has two interpretations. One, it's that carpenter with his T-square, or two, it's a man using a heavy tool to tamp the earth down flat and solid before building a wall. The fact that the scribes miscopied 夫 as 使 is not totally unreasonable due to the ancient use of an arrow to signify straightness, an important quality when drawing right angles. We saw this usage of 使 to signify measurement and dimensions in general in the character 短, meaning short, in Lesson 53. One meaning of 规 is a pair of compasses, and one sense of 矩 is a T-square, both instruments necessary for a builder to draw accurate arcs and angles. Arcs and angles, or circles and squares, naturally enclose and restrict whatever is inside them. So these two characters together, 规矩, mean a rule or established practice, or describe someone who's well-disciplined or well-behaved, literally restricting themselves within limits. 规矩点, behave yourself. Notice that 一点 is often reduced to just 点 with no change in meaning. 他的行为很不规矩. His behavior showed very poor manners. 这里的规矩是这样的. This is our customary way of doing things. 他的书法看起来很规矩. His calligraphy shows discipline and training. 他过得不是很规矩的生活. He has a very disorganized lifestyle. 我相信她是个很规矩的女人. I believe her to be the model wife and mother. 你守规矩的话，就不会有什么麻烦. You won't have any trouble if you stick to the rules. 你必须规规矩矩地对待她. You must be on your best behavior with her. Here is our color chart with today's 4 characters. 线, 规, 矩, and 矩. Here's a summary of today's lesson. 1. Of the 4 new characters in this lesson, 2 contain the jian component of the previous installment, xin and gui. Xin was borrowed for what had been the second pronunciation of jian, meaning to appear in one's line of sight. Xin with the jade radical, originally signifying the luminescent quality of jade, was given this new meaning of something which appears or becomes visible to our eyes. Expressions include 出现, to appear, 现象, a phenomenon, 现在, now or at present, 现今, nowadays, 现成, ready-made, 现有, currently available, 现货, merchandise, readily available for purchase, 现金, for cash, 兑现, to exchange for cash, but more commonly meaning to make good on a promise. 2. Today's second character combined fu with jian to create gui with a somewhat disputed origin, but usually defined by its 2 components to mean an adult's view on matters. From there it was extended to mean a compass for drawing circles, literally circumscribing behavior and thus conforming to the laws, regulations, and customs of society. Expressions include 圆规, a compass, 法规, a rule or regulation, 违规, to violate a rule or regulation, 成规, a convention or common practice, 规定, to rule, specify, or stipulate. 3. Today's third character was 句. Although not based on the jian component, it enters into our 4th character. 句is a pictogram of a tool, either a carpenter's T-square or a heavy tool used to pack down the earth before building a structure on top. If the latter, the character ju now meaning huge, gigantic, or tremendous makes perfect sense. Examples were 巨大, huge or tremendous, 巨人, a giant, 巨头 and 巨子, a giant in the metaphorical sense, such as a magnate, maestro, or national leader, 巨星, a superstar in the movie or music industry, 巨著, a monumental work of literature. 4. Our last character combined 句, first with the adult male fu, and later with the arrow 使, to create the character with the modern meaning of rules or established practices, in the phrase 规矩. Now you will find a short quiz on double, triple character, and longer expressions. Answer using only the characters learned so far. Thank you for watching and listening.